Has a girl ever approached you and asked you out? How did it go? Girl in high school asked if I wanted to go out sometime and I said yes. A few weeks go by and she hadn't really talked to me since. So I go up to her and ask whatever happened to that date. She replies you were supposed to plan it and ask me to go. Apparently in her brain she was just inviting me to ask her out. Never did ask her to anything. Yep. I was having some jam sandwiches when this girl I've never spoken to walked up to me and asked if she could have one of my sandwiches. I didn't say anything and just gave her my second sandwich because I was extremely shy and I honestly didn't know what to say. She thanked me and asked what I was doing after school with a sorta creepy smile on her face. Modern Warfare 2 had just come out a couple days ago, so I said something along the lines of, "Oh, me and a few friends are gonna play some COD." She asked if I was doing anything after that and I said no, so she asked if I wanted to go to the movies with her. I'd never been asked out before at that point, so I just said okay. I got there 5 minutes early, waited for another 20. Thought she must have lost her bet or something and just got myself some donuts and went home. TLDR. Got asked out, got stood up, got donuts. That happened to me, but I watched Rogue One instead. It turns out she didn't stand me up after all, but instead thought that we would be going to the movies the next day. I went to a girl's birthday party. Didn't know the girl. We were tasting vodka from the host's fine collection, whom I didn't know either, and as she grew more and more inebriated, birthday girl started commenting, pointing at me, "You know, this guy is really my style, wouldn't mind getting taken home by a guy like him." When we were gearing up to leave, she came with us, because our mutual friend was going at the same time. I don't remember who initiated what, but we ended up sucking faces waiting for her bus, and I told her, "You know, you can just take the same bus as me. I believe I have a birthday present for you at my apartment." We were together for 3 years after that. More than 20 years ago, a friend and I were in high school. This is where we met. We never dated. She went away for college. When she came back into town, we'd catch a scary movie, go out for dinner, hang out, and catch up. I got married, had a kid. This didn't stop. Then I got divorced. I'd sit around and wonder if there was anyone I knew that I could make a life with. Her name always came up. I'd have to remind myself that she didn't want kids. Fast forward to my mid-30s. She was back in town. We'd go out and do stupid crap together. We were back at my place, and she asked how come we never dated. It might not be specifically asking me out, but I'll count it. That was 6 years ago. We're now happily married. She's an amazing woman, and I'm very fortunate to have her in my life. Number. She's not reading this. I'm not sure that she knows who I am on Reddit. D. Hi Simoria's wife. Usually it's not 100% straightforward, but the last 2 girlfriends asked me out. Usually something like, "Hey, so if you're not busy, etc. I've always liked to follow it up with a confirmed, "Yeah, I'd love to take you on a date. What about this time, place?" If they got the courage to initiate out of the blue, it'll take the steps to confirm it's a date, not some wishy-washy meet up or chill. I've been told afterwards they loved the fact I made it pointed out to be a date. People are so flaky causal these days. Filthy castles. S. Sitting with friends at a table in a restaurant bar. Woman at the next table taps me on the shoulder and says, "Where's the action around here?" I said, "Right here. What would you like?" She saw my leather jacket hanging on the chair and said, "If that is your bike outside, a ride would be cool." It was. So we did. Your life is a Bob Seger song. I was at a Chinese restaurant in the Belleville neighborhood of Paris with 2 friends, a black girl and a pale redhead guy. They both lived in China in the past and can speak Mandarin and were speaking it with the staff. I could see a French woman who was waiting for takeout watching us and eavesdropping, so I made eye contact with her and we both smiled. She approached me and asked how my friends were able to speak Chinese, but before I could answer she gave me her number and told me she lived 2 buildings down from the restaurant. I texted her a few days later and we met up. She did not speak English that well and my level of French has always been weak, but we could communicate well enough to be friends with benefits. It was very sexy to me that she was 11 years older than I am. We had a system where we'd fool around in her very bougie flat and drink tea and eat fruit after, but it was unspoken that after the tea and fruit were gone I was expected to leave. Nobody had ever initiated with me prior or since, so she stands out when I reflect for that reason. I like this story. A random girl asked me out once. I didn't realize she was asking me out on a date and we went to Burger King. Needless to say, she was offended, I gather, and I never saw her again. It was only a few days later when I was like, oh wait, maybe she liked me and it was supposed to be a date. This was about 18 years ago and when I was stationed at Shepherd AFB. This all happened on base. Oh my god dud, I was picturing you as some fresh-faced 14-year-old lol. That's even better though. Didn't you learn the birds and bees in basic lol? Was at a party age 13 and this girl Claire asked me if I wanted to dance. I said no. She said please, I really want to dance with you and winked. I shouted I said no. She never spoke to me again. I just laughed really loudly while most of my family was sleeping. Thanks, man. One time sticks out. I was out on chill mode. A girl dances up to me, very offbeat might I add, and said you look lost. Do you wanna dance? I kinda chuckled. Said nah. She danced away. Later that night I came home and she was walking out of my best friend's room with him right behind. Apparently her line worked with him. Henceforth I shall dance away when I am rejected. I'll twerk the sadness from my system. Yes, I was at the park playing with my boys just keeping to myself. I stopped to get a drink of water, and she walked up and commented on my sons being well behaved. I feel like I am pretty easy person to talk to, and after about 5 minutes of small talk she asked me if I would like to get dinner with her. In my experience this is how it always seems to happen. If I were to go out with the intentions of finding a date, success rate is pretty low. Secondly, single mothers around that 30-year-old mark seem to have a low tolerance for BS and know what they want. The easy confidence of a grown woman is a huge turn on for me. At first I thought you meant your boys as in your friends, and I was confused as to how you could hang out with your friends and keep to yourself at the same time. I was a sophomore in HS and a senior came up and sat on my lap and asked how does my butt feel. Me being retarded just said yeah pretty good. OOF. I've been asked out at my gym a few times. Once I was at the end of my workout and a girl sat next to me while I was stretching. She turned and goes random question, do you have a girlfriend? The second time I was doing pull-ups and a girl came over and started asking me to help her do pull-ups too. It wasn't until the next time I was there that she asked if I had a girlfriend already. I was really awkward in high school. There was a sort of cute girl in one of our upper division classes senior year who asked if I wanted to get lunch one day. I said sure, but got really self-conscious about it. I took her to Wendy's. Not the one near the school, but the one farther away because I didn't want to be seen. I think I had just bought computer parts online and was probably talking about them non-stop and constantly checking my phone. She never talked to me again. I got better with women later in life. Me and my wife's first date was at Wendy's. Sometimes it all works out. I've only been asked out by one girl. She came up to me after school, a complete stranger, and asked me if I would go see Mars Attacks with her at the big local dollar movie theater. One of my favorite movies TBH. We went to dinner, got snacks, and went to the theater only to realize she had left her wallet on top of the car. We retraced our path. On a very busy street, she drove alongside me as I ran on the sidewalk, scanning the street for her wallet. We miraculously found it, still in the gutter, on the apex of a curve in the road. We still got to the movie in time, watched it. She rested her head on my shoulder almost the whole time. After the movie was over we went out to the parking lot and I could tell neither of us wanted the night to end. Not in an explicitly sexual way, but that we couldn't get enough of each other talking, laughing, singing, smoking. Everything was so comfortable. Turns out she dropped her keys in the theater and we didn't realize until later, after sitting on the car and talking for a while. By that time the next movie had started playing, but we went in and the previews were still playing, so I shouted at the crowd, "This wonderful lady lost her keys. Will everyone look under their seats?" And everyone did. Not one of them told me to shut up, and when the keys were found everyone cheered, like actually though, and passed the keys down to us. Everything felt so pleasant and great and there wasn't a bad feeling in my world. She drove me home. It was about 1 AM at the point. and she kissed me goodnight. For the first time in my life I had that moment where I closed the door and started jumping up and down and dancing out of excitement and emotion. I leaned against the door as if trying to absorb the presence of her after drove away. She was killed by a drunk driver who swerved into her lane on her way home from my house. To this day I wonder what could have been. Her family was very traditional and conservative. Her ex-boyfriend said she'd had a date with someone that night, and she didn't tell him who. I did not tell her family that it was me, out of fear they'd be angry or upset that their daughter was gay. I wanted her to keep being perfect in their eyes. She was perfect. Capital D. Multiple times actually. It never amounted to anything, as I was too young and socially retarded due to nerditis to realize I was being hit on. In retrospect, it's painfully obvious they were trying to flirt with me. Well, a girl was going to, but I have a tendency to, well, just seem very gay. Context: girl was a classmate whom I was friends with. There were 2 hours in between classes where I was stuck hanging out with her and her sister in a room alone. For a few weeks her sister would not so subtly ask her, "Have you told him yet?" Her dropping hints like this went on for a few weeks. That until one week I just openly asked, "Hey, so the past few weeks you seem to keep hinting at something I supposedly need to be told?" They both went straight-faced, terrified, rambling it was nothing, and eventually the girl told me she wanted to ask me to her school's prom. We went to a co-op. Context as to why it was her school's prom and not the prom of the school we both were also going to. She said it didn't matter though cause I didn't care. She eventually got asked by somebody else. I responded, "Say well, if you'd asked, I would have said yes." They both flipped and said they thought I was gay, and if I wasn't then I probably wasn't interested in relationships. I hadn't had a crush on her up to that point for over a year. We're currently not dating cause we're both still in high school, but we hang out a ton and acknowledge that we like each other. Fun fact, before all of this in the previous semester, the sister had admitted to having liked me, but I didn't like her. I liked her sister, so I just ignored it and continued on. And she claims she no longer likes me, but I'm doubtful. So yay, that's awkward. The flip side of that is if you learn to own it, it can actually work to your advantage. I come off as gay to a lot of people, especially people who know that most of my friends are. There have been times when I was hanging out with a girl and got some variation of "it's too bad you're gay, I would be all over you otherwise," and after telling them I'm straight find out they meant it. My girlfriend used to go up to random women, straight or not, and ask if they have ever had sex with a woman and if they'd like to. Evidently, it worked over 300 times. No, and I've dated a lot of girls who were super into me. What the heck is with this? Men must make the first move standard. Frustrating, like I have to prove to myself that I am, in fact, desired. High school memory. Girl in first period ceramics class was the hottie of the school. Sat next to me. I was the goofy kid that made everyone laugh, especially her, which always made me feel good. The day before it's going to be a late start day, school usually started around 7:30 am. Late starter would start at 9:30 am. We're talking about random things. Then I ask her if she's happy she's sleeping in tomorrow morning for late start day. She replies, "I don't know yet." "What are you doing?" I say, "I don't know. Probably get dropped off. Didn't have a car. Poor. At the regular 7:30 am time and just roam the campus. I'll just pick you up at 7:30. She offers. What would we do for 2 hours though? It was a serious question on my part. We'll figure something out. She giggles and blushes. I didn't understand and thought that would be a complete waste of time away from reading a book. So I refused and said it's fine. Could have had my first at 16. Idiot. I'm disappointed at some Reddit stranger. In my freshman year of high school, while walking home, I would always pass this girl who was with her friends and she would always say "I love you" to me. Now, I think I'm average looking but didn't think I was attractive enough for someone to be openly interested in me like that, so I assumed it was a joke. A couple months after this happened she did it again but then asked, "Will you go out with me?" I didn't know what to say, so I said I'd think about it. I decided no because she seemed kinda annoying. About a year later I found out I was right. When I was in the 10th grade, after school, a girl approached me on the bus. We talked pretty much the whole way home. Turned out she lived down the street from me. Anyways, As we near her stop, she asks me if I'm a virgin. I reluctantly said yes, thinking she was fricking with me. Boy, was I wrong. She looked at me almost as if she'd been looking for a virgin boy and said, "Oh, can I come over?" She came over 3 times that week. Unfortunately, her doing this boosted my ego through the roof, which led me to being a gigantic butthole to her and losing a what could have been great thing. Tale as old as time. Girl builds up guy's self-esteem. Guy starts acting like an egotistical butt. Life kicks guy's face in the dirt for being such a stupid frick up. I was in middle school and one of the more attractive girls came out to me and asked me out. I went home and asked my dad what that meant. Yes, actually, but it wasn't a complete stranger. It was a girl I used to know several years prior, and she recognized me at a local show. Then she randomly blurted out, "Wanna make out?" So we did. Then after we sucked face, I drove her back to her house. She mentioned in the car ride that she's a schizo and has to take medicine. I dropped her off, and that was the end. The moral of this story is, girls don't approach guys unless they are literally insane. Kind of. Back in 2003 I was 15, and I was approached by 2 girls a little older than me and start asking me to come home with them. I was at the mall with my mom, who was doing her own thing, and we were meeting where I was sitting. They didn't overly flirt or anything. They just kept asking me to come home with them. Tell my mom I went to hang out with a friend, etc. It was really odd. They eventually gave up and left. Never saw them at that mall again. I wonder to this day what their intent with me was. Either a threesome or organ harvesting. 50/50. Been flirting with a cute girl in high school since our freshman year. Got hot 10 heavy the spring of our junior year. She came up and asked what I was doing that particular weekend. Me, in all of the smoothness a 16-year-old awkward male could muster, responded, "Masturbating." Which, honestly, was probably true. We've now been together 25 years. This sounds like a disaster story, but the last line is a surprise. I asked my then boyfriend out. It was at a rock club and he's notoriously hard of hearing when there is music on. I went to the bar and asked for a pen, scribbled down my number on a band flyer and gave it to him. Didn't put my name down or anything, so it led to him texting me the next day going, "I'm the lad you gave your number to. What's your name?" We arranged a date at the local pub. 12 years later, nearly 4 years of marriage, plus a house and a 2-year-old, we are very happy. Plus he still has that scrap of paper with my number on it in his wallet. She didn't exactly ask me out, but here is my story. I was working front desk at a hotel near a company that would put up people in foot training at 4 weeks at a time. This one girl had been there for a few weeks and we would chat when I was working nights at the front desk. One night after talking for a while, she gives me a key to her room and says I should come up when the next shift gets there so we can hang out. I figured why not. I enjoyed her company, went up to her room after my shift, knocked, then let myself in. She was laying on the bed wearing not much of anything. I apologized for walking in on her, and she gets up and tells me it's okay, then kisses me. Well, I wasn't exactly interested in her that way and explained it to her. We both laughed about it and continued to hang out during her stay there. I had many opportunities to see her in various states of undress, and I will admit that even 10 years later not seeing where it could have gone is one of my biggest regrets. I'm a girl, by the way. I told her I was gay. She didn't take it well and sexually harassed me and my husband for the rest of the semester. She also hated my husband, probably because I'm gay. Reading this thread, I understand men are so slow on catching hints that any girl asking a dude out has like 90% chance on marrying him. Yes, it has happened like 6 times, and then BSP. The first time, we ended up dating for 5 years, and then BSP. The second, third, and fourth times it went okay but we lacked chemistry, and then BSP. The 5th time was with an amazing, smart girl and we clicked. The sex was great and spending time together was fun. I moved away after graduation like 4 weeks later, and then BSP. The 6th time was with an old high school crush of mine in my hometown. She is hella funny and very chill. The sex was great. I moved to another country 3 weeks later, and then BSP. Now that I think of it, I've really only initiated with one woman that I've been involved with. Also, my timing is horrible. In HS, a girl asked if she could blow me and I politely declined. Then she immediately asked my buddy who was standing next to me. He also declined. I was eating at a restaurant out of town. I went to the bathroom and as I was walking back to my table, the bartender called me over. "Your server thinks you're really cute. Here's her number." The paper said yes with a heart. When I returned to my table, I asked for my bill and told the waitress what had happened. She blushed and confirmed that it was true. I asked her when she finished and invited her to have a drink when she was done. She agreed. We sat for about an hour chatting, laughing and drinking beer. I told her I needed to leave because I work early in the morning and she offered to drive me back to my hotel. I accepted. On the ride home, I invited her to go out the following day, and she told me she wanted to show me her new apartment. That's a good sign, right? When she dropped me off, I kissed her on the cheek and said, "See you tomorrow." She agreed. She sent me a text an hour later saying it was really nice to meet me and she looked forward to tomorrow. I agreed. I texted her when I was almost finished work the next day. She never responded, completely ghosted, and I went back to my hometown the following day. TLDR. I used to be a clueless idiot. I still am, but I used to be one. 2. I was waiting at the bus stop on campus after my last class. About 6 p.m. A car with 3 girls in it pulls up. One of them hops out. She walks right up to me and says, "Hey, we're looking for a good place to eat around here. Can you show us where one is?" Being the dumbass that I was, I promptly said, "Oh yeah, there's a great pizza place just over there. Go down this road. Take a right at the T. Then you'll take a right at the stoplight and it will be down on your left." She gave me the most obvious JFC "you're an idiot" look I've ever seen in my life. I was legitimately too embarrassed to say anything else. Yeah, so many times. "Your eyes are really pretty. You're freaking gorgeous. You have an amazing body. Can I touch you? I can blow you if you want." She's my wife now. Misread that as "you're freaking gross" and got confused. Yes, except she had a male friend do it for her. I said no because she didn't scratch my aesthetic itch. If you know what I mean. What page is that in the Kamasutra? I've had girls flirt with me at parties in college, but no one's ever asked me out straight up. I'm tall and go between sarcastic, silly and stoic, so I think I intimidate people. Something I've noticed girls do much more often than asking you out is giving you the opportunity to ask them out, like conveniently always being near you at a party. Unfortunately, I have insanely low self-confidence and experience, if we're being honest, when it comes to women, so I never act on it and generally don't even realize what was going on until it's too late. In middle school, a popular girl came over and asked me out, and I was like, "UHH, what then?" She and all of her friends started laughing and walked away. Yeah, it was a joke. I was the joke. First time a 30-year-old, 8 years older than me, started chatting me up after a concert. I had to drive 4 hours home and drop a friend off, so I couldn't stay. Pretty sure I was, and am, too big a P to have gone further. The next spring, a girl at a party talked with me for like 2 sentences, then said she wanted to make out with me. I passed on that because I wasn't really attracted to her, but that doesn't stop my friends from giving me crap. I also found out she makes out with a loopy of guys. Last was a girl I vaguely knew sent me a long message on Facebook about how she liked me. I hung out with her some, but I had absolutely no attraction to her before or after hanging out with her, and I catch crap for this too. Those are the 3 I know of. Still a single virgin. Yes, way back in college, I worked for the school newspaper and had interviewed this guy who was involved in some campus political thing. I saw him one night as I was walking out of the building where the newspaper's offices were, and we stopped to chat. A stunningly beautiful young woman came up to say hi to him and stayed and talked with us. He ended up leaving and she and I talked for another couple of hours. Because, like most guys, I'm an idiot. When we parted ways, I didn't ask for her number of anything. It was just sort of, "Okay, good talking with you. Bye." It's important to know this all happened in the mid-1980s before the internet was a thing. A few days later, I get a message on my answering machine at home. She had tracked down my number, a bit creepy in retrospect, and wanted to go out. So we did. We ended up living together for almost a year. She was one of the most sexually adventurous people I've ever met, which, frankly, was a bit odd because she was also a virgin, mostly because she was terrified of pregnancy. When we finally did have PIV, after a few months of having other types of sex, there were 3 different types of birth control in play. I think it was 3. Condom, BC pill and spermicidal foam. She was also a STEM major, though we didn't use that term then, and a dance minor. She loved to play chess and played on a relatively high level. She taught me to play and we would frequently play strip chess. I thought I was going to marry her, but it ended pretty badly. She was a bit sweaty from going out dancing, but she might have had some liquid courage that pushed her to talk to me in our university residence. I didn't really know who she was, but apparently she knew me and kept talking. She liked how I was so serious, direct, and different. I was trying to get her to go away so that my friends and I could keep watching bad late night TV, but she persisted. So at a commercial break, I got up to go listen to a song she wanted to play for me. That's about when I realized she was really sexy, really hitting on me, and suddenly making me nervous. We dated for a few months before she broke my heart. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.